You've found the scientific nap, where each word is a whisper, and each breath brings you closer to sleep. Let's begin. Drift deeper. Let dreams gather like soft clouds around your mind. Tonight, your thoughts loosen, floating away like leaves. On water, the world fades, replaced by a calm tide of quiet images and gentle dreams. Rest here, safe and still, held softly by sleep's embrace. You don't remember arriving, but the hallway is already waiting. The walls are high and curved like a ribcage, lit by a soft golden haze that seems to hum gently, not with sound, but with possibility. Along either side, a row of identical doors stretches into the distance. They shimmer slightly, as if unsure whether they belong to a dream or a calculation. Each one has a clock above it, ticking steadily, but not in unison. Some rush ahead, others drag behind. A few flicker like candlelight, on the verge of going out. You walk slowly, your footsteps quiet against the marble floor that reflects only parts of your shape. In some moments, your legs appear longer. In others, you're limping. The hallway doesn't echo your steps. Instead, it responds with a subtle vibration, like time itself listening back. There's something strange about the clocks. Not just their disarray, but the feeling that each is yours. Not in the sense of ownership, but in the way a memory is yours, even when you no longer recognize the face it belongs to. One clock ticks fast enough to blur. Another's hands are frozen mid-second, as though caught by a decision it couldn't make. You place your hand on the first door. It's warm. The clock above it pulses slightly faster as you touch the handle, as if stirred by proximity. You hesitate. A feeling passes through you, not fear exactly, but the soft weight of potential. And when you turn the handle, the hallway disappears. You're in a kitchen, familiar but different. The air smells like cinnamon and dust. There's a window that shouldn't be there, and outside it, a version of the sky you've never seen. Pale lavender clouds spiraling slowly, like the inside of a shell. At the table sits someone who looks like you, only older. Their hands folded gently over a cup that steams without heat. They look up, their eyes widen with recognition that confuses you, as if you're the one who left, and they're the one who stayed. You don't speak, and neither do they. Time in this room moves thickly, like honey being poured under water. When you blink, the chair across the table is empty. You step backward, and the kitchen breathes out. The door finds you again, pulling you gently back into the corridor. The hallway hasn't changed, except the clock above that door now ticks a little slower, as if adjusting to the memory you just made. The second door opens before you touch it. This time, the light is sharp, metallic. You're standing in a city you've never seen, but somehow remember skyscrapers curve into the clouds, but none cast shadows. People walk by without looking, their faces shimmering, changing mid-expression. You see yourself among them. Younger, running, laughing, then suddenly still. Like a paused film. You try to call out, but your voice passes through the air like vapor. The clocks on the towers tick erratically. One spins backward, one melts slowly, then reforms itself. Somewhere in the distance, a bell chimes. But it doesn't mark the hour. It marks something else. A shift, maybe. A version of you that just vanished. Back in the hallway, the air feels heavier. You move on, drawn forward not by curiosity, but by the sensation that you're being remembered by something beyond the walls. With each step, the clocks above the doors begin to glow faintly, amber, blue, rose. The further you go, the less your reflection matches you. In one pane of glass, you're taller. In another, your hair is silvered. One reflection looks back too slowly, as if you're already ahead of yourself. The next door opens into a small garden at dusk. Fireflies drift like signals between leaves. A version of you sits beside a pond, watching koi swim in impossible patterns. They shimmer in and out of visibility, like particles choosing whether or not to exist. That version of you reaches into the water. Ripples move outward, not in circles, but in fractals, spiraling into themselves, rewriting the surface as they spread. You sit beside them for a moment. You don't speak, but something passes between. You, a memory that never happened or hasn't happened yet. When you rise again, your skin feels lighter, as though a weight has been transferred from oneself to another. You step back into the hallway. This time, when the door shuts, the entire corridor shifts. Not visibly, but you feel it, like the floor taking a deeper breath. The clocks begin to harmonize, not in rhythm, but in tone. You can hear it now, a gentle chime that changes with each door you've opened. Not music, not language, just time, trying to speak in its native form. You wonder how many doors you've passed already, how many versions of you are waiting behind. Them, some older, some younger, some never born, some who left instead of stayed. Each clock above those doors is like a time stamp on a choice not made, and somewhere down the hall you feel a presence. Not a person, a point of convergence, a door that might not open like the others, a clock that doesn't tick at all. You keep walking. One clock above a green-tinted door spins wildly, then stops. You reach for it, but the handle vanishes beneath your hand, like a decision revoked. Another door pulses warmly, and the clock resets to 0 the moment you touch it. That one opens into a room of nothing but light, no objects, no sound, just the sensation of standing inside memory itself. When you return, you're not sure how long it's been. If time moves differently behind each door, then what does? The hallway belong to? What version of time is this place outside of? You walk again. You pass the door where you were older. You pass the door where you never existed. You pass the one where the clock stopped ticking entirely. And just ahead, one door begins to glow, not from above, but from within, and far ahead. The next moment is already remembering you. You move toward it, drawn not by choice, but by gravity. Of a different kind, the way dreams pull you through doorways without asking. The corridor narrows, then stretches tall, and the clocks along the walls begin to slow. Their ticking is no longer sound, but shape, elongated shadows slipping through liquid light. Then something shifts beneath your feet. Not a crack, not a fall, a folding. The floor doesn't tilt, it bends. Space curves inward, as if the hallway is quietly being tucked into itself, like a page curling at the edge. You reach for balance, but there's no axis to grasp. The world stretches sideways and up at once, and gravity forgets where it's meant to go, before you can question it. The hallway opens into a chamber made entirely of spirals. A staircase rises in all directions, not above, not below, but around. The steps are made of a dark material that shimmers with dust, as if constellations have gathered just to hold your weight. Each step pulses faintly when you touch it, like a memory responding. You place your foot on the first one and feel something loosen behind your eyes. Not pain, but perspective, as if your mind is recalibrating to a dimension it had forgotten it once knew. The air here is thick with possibility, the kind of silence that suggests more instead of less. As you climb, the staircase curves in a slow spiral but never repeats. It folds through space like a ribbon folding in on itself, but never tangling, up and around, up and around. You glance down once and find no center, only echoes of yourself on steps below, delayed and slowed, like shadows stuck in syrup. Time behaves strangely here. You take a breath, it arrives late. You blink, the darkness behind your eyes lingers longer than it should. You try to count your steps, but numbers stretch apart like melted thread. There is no forward here, only directionless ascent, like rising through thought. Moments pass. In layers, with each step, the world around you shifts ever so slightly. First, the light begins to turn blue. Then, sound thins, becoming more like vibration than tone. Then, something else, a soft hum, low and constant, like the background noise of the universe, turned up just enough for you to notice. It doesn't come from above or below, it comes from beside. From directions your body doesn't know how to face, and still the staircase climbs. Eventually, you pause on a landing shaped like an ellipse. No railings, no walls, just open space folding round the curve. From here you can see a corridor arcing through itself like a Mobius loop, windows floating in midair, none facing the same direction. Through one, you see yourself climbing. Through another, you see yourself standing still. Through a third, a version of you leans against the wall, watching stars fall upward. You realize time isn't passing here. It's piling. Each moment doesn't replace the last. It stacks. Thin layers of now, pressed together like translucent sheets. You move your hand, and its image lingers like an afterglow. Every gesture has an echo. Every breath leaves a trail. You walk forward, and the steps now feel wider. Not physically, temporally. One step feels like an hour, the next a blink. And still, the staircase leads you not upward, but inward. Inward toward something folding more tightly with each turn. Eventually you come to a space that feels spherical. A chamber made of gently rotating planes. You step inside, and suddenly your weight disappears. Not into flight, but into neutrality. You are not falling. You are not held. You simply are suspended. The staircase spirals around the edges, but you remain at the center, floating, and slowly the planes begin to rotate, faster, but only when you remember something. Each memory triggers emotion, the time you ran, the time you waited, the time you left when you should have stayed. Each plane shifts when you think of a different version of yourself. Time here is moved not by cause, but by recall. This isn't a place where time slows. It's a place where time waits. You realize the staircase is still climbing, even though your feet aren't moving. It's carrying you now, or maybe time is bending just enough to let you stay in one moment longer than you're meant to. You feel yourself stretch, not physically, but dimensionally, as if parts of you have moved ahead, while others remain to keep watching. Then the space contracts, the spirals tighten, the air hums louder, a soft vibration moves through your chest, not threatening, just clarifying, like a tone tuning something deep inside you. One last spiral folds sharply, and for a breathless instant, the staircase curves back through itself. You see the first step again. You've returned, not to the beginning, but to a version of it folded in higher resolution. The hallway is nearby again, but altered. Time hangs heavier here, like velvet fog. The clocks on the walls tick more slowly. Now, not because they've changed, but because you have. Something in you is moving slower now. Not in delay, in depth. You look back at the spiral, and it still moves infinitely, patiently. A staircase with no origin, folding through time not in one direction, but all directions at once. A shape made not for walking, but for understanding. You feel it in your breath. This wasn't ascent. It was dimensional drift. You turn toward the next passage. There are no clocks here. Just light, diffused and warm, as if time itself has softened to let you pass without resistance. You step forward, something shifts, and in the corner of your eye the spiral keeps turning, and somewhere ahead, the air starts to hum. You move toward it, even though nothing else does. The world feels ... halted, like a song suspended on a single note, stretched too thin to end. The trees no longer sway. A single bird hangs mid-flight like an ornament from an invisible thread. And the raindrops, they hang around you like glass beads, motionless in the open air. Your breath fogs, and it stays there, hovering in front of your face without fading. It's not cold, it's not warm. The moment holds you like a held breath, not quite silence, not quite stillness, but something between. The humming grows clearer now, not from outside, but inside your chest. A low, vibrating awareness that time is doing something strange. You reach out to touch a raindrop. It yields beneath your finger, but doesn't fall. Inside its glassy skin, something flickers, a shimmer, a twist of movement, like a miniature memory trying to break free. The moment ripples, then stills again. Nothing else moves, not the clouds overhead, which are smeared across the sky like brushstrokes paused mid-painting. Not the puddle below, mid-splash, from something that never landed. And yet, you are still walking, still wondering, still remembering the way the air began to hum. It feels like time isn't gone, just hiding, watching you move through a world that's forgotten how. As you walk past a row of windows, you see yourself reflected, but not now. Each reflection shows a different you, one mid-step, one mid-blink, one almost turning round. Each you trapped in its own tiny second. The humming grows louder now, pulsing like a heartbeat. You follow it into a courtyard, where the statue of a clock tower leans into the sky. Its hands hover inches above the face, not turning, just ... suspended, and beneath it, raindrops still freeze mid-fall, forming a glassy veil around your path. One lands gently on your palm. It doesn't feel cold, it doesn't feel wet, but something. Inside it moves. A slow, curling wisp like steam coiling backward. Time, you realize, is not just something that ticks. It's something that lives, in motion, in change, in the gap between what was and what might be. And now you're outside of it, or beneath it, or maybe ahead. A door creaks open, though no wind moves. You step inside a building half crumbling, half rebuilding itself, bricks rearranging, then stopping halfway. A hallway of frames, lines. The walls, each picture locked mid-moment. A smile unfinished, a glass mid-tilt, a tear that hasn't yet fallen. You don't know these people, but something about their stillness feels familiar. You pass a child forever, about to laugh. A woman caught mid-run, hair suspended in the wind. A man whose hand is almost reaching out. Every frame hums with the same low vibration as the air, as if every second trapped here still wants to finish its sentence. And then, in the last frame, you see yourself, not paused, not stuck, but watching from a place behind the glass. Your reflection looks directly at you, and for a moment, you wonder which one is moving and which one is frozen. Then it blinks, just once. Then stillness again. You step back. The hall begins to bend, not crumble, not collapse, but bend, as if the space around it has softened. The walls curve like rubber drawn too tight. Time is elastic here, stretching, where your presence pulls it. Each second resists you, then relents. A lamp overhead flickers, not with electricity, but with delayed light, pulses that arrive out of order, like memories remembered before they happen. You touch the wall. It's warm, breathing. It inhales just slightly as your hand presses against it, then exhales, dust, slow and suspended, not floating, not falling, just ... hanging in the moment, as if even gravity isn't sure what to do anymore. You remember a time you once waited too long to speak, a word caught in your mouth, a goodbye that never landed. It felt like this, time expanding, warping, making room for something that never arrived. Maybe the seconds didn't break then. Maybe they paused, like this, trying to give you another chance. You wander through what must have been a garden. Flowers stretch toward the sky but never sway. Their colors seem brighter in the stillness, oversaturated, like emotions, unblurred by motion. Bees hover above petals without landing. A droplet clings to the edge of a leaf, its reflection showing the entire garden upside down. Inside it, something flutters. Not just light, not just shape, but possibility. You wonder, if you stood here long enough, would time begin to fold again? Or are you the only thing left that remembers how? A bench waits beneath an archway of vines, frozen mid, and you sit. The air around you doesn't move, but something inside you does. The hum is quieter now, less like a warning, more like a lullaby. Your heart slows to match it. It's not frightening, this pause, it's ... gentle like the universe. Put a finger to its lips and whispered, she, just this moment, let it last. You close your eyes, half expecting the world to rush forward again, but it doesn't. And maybe that's okay. Maybe this is what a second looks like when it stops trying to become a third. You open your eyes again, and now, just faintly, the bird that hovered above you twitches one feather. A shimmer runs down the raindrop on your palm. The frames in the hallway breathe, subtly, imperceptibly, like sleep beginning to stir. Somewhere, the air holds its breath. It falls slowly at first, as if the air beneath it is remembering how to move. The ripple it leaves behind is not in water, but in everything, the path, the air, even the shape of the silence. You follow it, your footsteps whispering through the fabric of something that isn't quite space. Not quite time, but some trembling seam between them. The world around you softens. Trees that once stood tall begin to curve sideways. Shadows stretch in uncertain directions. There's a hum beneath the hush, like a violin string played by the horizon. Ahead, the sky folds inward, not dark, not bright, but braided with threads of stars that shimmer and stutter like reflections in broken glass. That's when you see it. A curtain, taller than gravity, thinner than memory. It waves without. Wind a veil stitched from warped starlight, where constellations bend and smear like wet paint. Behind it, there's no color, no sound, no geometry that holds. You feel it before you understand it. You've come to the edge of space-time. You step closer. Every footfall is both too fast and too slow. Light shifts in strange gradients, like it's forgetting how to be light. One moment, your shadow falls ahead of you. The next, it leans behind. You blink, and the curtain pulses. not as fabric, but as a thought, half-formed and floating. You reach toward it, not to touch, but to listen. It doesn't speak in words, but in warps. Your hand trembles, not from fear, but from the pressure of possibilities stacked like cards, each one a version of physics that almost held. Some rules made it this far, others frayed into a dream. The curtain is stitched with distortions. Stars bent into commas, galaxies curled like letters trying to rewrite themselves. You wonder what lies beyond it. A universe unrendered, a place where time loops into itself like a snake that never finishes eating its tail. You close your eyes. You don't feel edges here, only thresholds. And thresholds ask for crossing. But you don't step through, not yet. Instead, you stand there, letting the starlight shimmer through you. You think about the word horizon. It used to mean the line where the sea met the sky. But here, it's where certainty loses shape. Somewhere to your left, a shape flickers. You turn a chair. No, a shadow of one. Then a doorframe, but it loops itself inside out before you can blink. These aren't objects. They're echoes of structure, trying to exist in a place where structure breaks. The deeper you look, the more the world frays. A stone melts into mist. The sky folds into a spiral of amber and ink. And beneath your feet, the ground isn't quite ground anymore. It's suggestion, memory, math holding its breath. You sit, though you don't know what you're sitting on. Time here isn't still, but sideways. Moments stretch, others collapse. You think about space-time as a loom, and this must be where the threads unravel, where fabric becomes fringe. You remember something, a line you once read, or maybe dreamt. Nothing ever reaches the edge of a black hole. It just appears to freeze there, forever falling. That's what this place feels like. A forever fall, paused at the cusp dot. And maybe that's what the curtain is. Not a wall, but a pause. A horizon so stretched it forgets how to end. You lean back, watching stars on the curtain twist into spirals, then vanish. Behind it, the not place breathes, not like lungs, but like equations recalculating themselves. You feel something unnameable, the pressure of boundary, the ache of edge, and then something ripples through the curtain, a hand, a shape. No, just a flicker, but it's enough. You stand, you realize that out here there's no future, and past only proximity to understanding. The closer you come to the edge, the more meaning unknots. Words like before and after feel heavy, misplaced. You want to ask, what's on the other side? But instead, you ask, why does the edge shimmer like a memory? And maybe that's the answer. Because this isn't just physics. Its perception is pressed to its limits. A curtain woven not just from gravity and time, but from everything the universe has ever almost been. You take a step closer, and the curtain reacts. Not like cloth, but like a brainwave, rippling in anticipation. A gust of unpatterned wind brushes past you, though there is no wind. It smells like metal, rain, and something else. Nostalgia, maybe. From a world not yet born. You raise your hand again. This time, your fingers graze the veil. It's cool and impossibly smooth. And for one breathless second, you see yourself reflected, but not quite you. A version, maybe. A possibility. They look back, eyes wide, as if they've been waiting and then gone. You stagger back, heart ticking like a broken clock, but it doesn't feel like fear. It feels like an invitation. The curtain stills. You understand now. the edge isn't asking to be crossed. It's asking to be witnessed, to be understood as the place where knowing gives way to wonder. You sit again, watching the shimmer. And in that silence, something begins to stretch. Not in the sky, not in the curtain. In you, because once you've seen where space-time frays, you can never forget how flexible reality can be. And somewhere behind you, the path has already begun to rearrange. And as you step forward, the breath exhales for you, soft and slow, like something already known. The air tastes familiar, not in the way a scent might trigger memory, but in the way a dream repeats without your consent. You've walked through this doorway before, haven't you? The floor is made of moments, smooth, glassy ones that feel like first chances, and cracked, uneven ones that echo with second thoughts. Around you, the hallway bends in a gentle spiral, no corners, only curves, as if time itself has forgotten how to travel straight. A light flickers somewhere far ahead, but it never gets closer. Or maybe it already has. You walk, then stop. You reach for the wall, but your hand lands where it already was. A shadow passes yours. Maybe, but it doesn't move with you. It moves before you. Your footsteps arrive before your legs do. You don't remember taking them, only returning to where they've been. The hallway curls tighter. The walls, now embedded with small doors, each framed in mirrors that don't reflect. Each door is slightly ajar, leaking out a different scent. Old rain, burned sugar, warm wool, loss. One of them leads somewhere new. The rest, they lead here. A doorway opens, the same one you entered. But from this angle, it's ahead of you. Another version of yourself passes through it, unaware. That version pauses, notices you, and for a breathless instant, everything sinks. Two pairs of eyes, one recognition. We've done this before. And then it continues walking, or rather, you continue walking, and that version fades like an echo stepping back into a song. Somewhere overhead, a slow chime rings out. It doesn't mark time, it unmarks it, as if the minutes that just passed are being gently erased, returned to the loop. You're not sure how long you've been here, or how many you have walked this path. A silver thread dangles from the ceiling. You pull it gently, and the hallway bends again, not in space, but in memory. A wall you hadn't noticed ripples, like liquid, and reveals a room inside it. You step through. This room is circular, entirely made of doors. A dozen at least, each one identical wooden frames, golden handles, a small brass plate at the center. You walk slowly past them. One reads when you turn back, another when you almost stayed, a third, the version of you that said yes. There's no lock, only choice. But when you reach for the handle, your hand phases through it, like the decisions already been made by you or some echo of you. Still, the doors keep humming quietly, as if remembering each time you reached for them. Even if you forgot, in the center of the room, there is a spiral staircase, floating without support. You don't remember walking it, but your legs ache as if you have. At the base, a mirror lies face up, showing the ceiling. But when you look into it, it reflects your back, walking away. The staircase draws you upward, or perhaps downward. The direction is uncertain. What matters is motion. At each landing, there's a window. Outside the first, a field of clocks, planted like flowers, ticking in rhythmic blooms. The second, a sea of gears turning against the current. The third, a doorway standing alone in a field of ash, endlessly opening and closing, though no one ever enters. you stop at the fourth. Through the window, you see yourself younger, or maybe older, standing at the edge of a bridge that vanishes into mist. You look like you're deciding something, but the image resets before you decide. It resets again and again, a loop, where the only thing missing is resolution. The concept begins to settle in your bones. Time isn't a straight line here. It folds, loops, curves, inward. You haven't been walking forward, you've been walking around. Each version of this journey is just another pass around the spiral. Each choice made, each one not made, carved into this corridor like grooves in vinyl dot. You reach the top, or bottom. A single door waits here, made of mirrored glass, handleless, pulsing slightly, with a breath-like shimmer. You press your palm to it. It feels like a memory. Not yours, but a memory that remembers you. It opens. On the other side is the room you started in. The hallway of curved walls. The same light still flickering, still far ahead, but this time a crack runs through the floor. A sliver of something new. Through it, you glimpse something you've never seen before. A doorway that leads sideways, into a dimension not of time, but of timing. As if every version of you who arrived too late or too early might be waiting there. And now you understand the symbol, the artifact you felt following you. A doorway that leads back to itself. A loop so perfect, it forgets it's closed. A choice so repeated, it becomes its own echo. You kneel beside the crack in the floor and touch it gently. The ground hums, soft as a held breath. In this place, time is not broken. It's repeating itself into understanding. You realize not all loops trap you. Some hold you long enough for you to feel what you missed the first time. A voice, not yours, not anyone's, whispers through the crack. Again, it says, but not the same. And somewhere ahead, the door you haven't chosen yet is already opening. You step toward it slowly, not because you're afraid, though you are, but because something in the air feels unstitched, as if time has been folded back on itself here, and the act of crossing that threshold might split you into someone you've never been. The handle is cool, metal softened by time or memory, or both. The door swings open, not with a creak, but a hush, like it's been waiting too long to speak. Inside a room that feels familiar before you can explain why. Bookshelves curve like ribs around the space. A soft light spills from no source you can find. And on a central desk, a journal already open, already half-read. You hesitate, but your hand finds the cover anyway. The paper is warm, like someone just wrote in it, your own handwriting. The same slant, the same way you cross the T's, low and tight. But the entry isn't yours. It speaks of a mountain you've never climbed, a sister you've never had, a decision you know you never made. It ends with, I don't know which one of us is real anymore. You flip the page. This time, it is your memory. The wind on the lake, the scent of the fig tree, the moment you let go of someone's hand and didn't look back, but the ink is smudged like it's bleeding through from another life. Behind it, ghostwriting, a second entry overlaid and trembling, describing the same moment with different weather, a different goodbye. You look up, and there they are. Across the room stands you, not a mirror, not a twin, not a hallucination. A version of you with different eyes, not in color but in weight. They've seen things you haven't. They smile, a little sad, a little relieved, and say, I thought I remembered this place wrong. You want to ask 1,000 things, but nothing feels sharp enough. So you sit. They sit across from you, journal between you like a river neither of you knows how to cross. Do you remember the river? You ask. They nod only the second time. Outside the room, the walls begin to shimmer faintly, like memories dissolving at their edges. You don't know who they are. Maybe yours, maybe theirs, maybe they were always shared, but in different orders, like someone shuffled the same cards into 2 different decks. They open the journal again, flip to the middle, point to a drawing, your old sketch of a treehouse you never built. I did, they say. It rained the whole week, but we stayed. Inside, we told stories through the storm. You don't remember that, but you feel it. You can smell the wet wood, hear the laughter, something deeper than imagination, like resonance in your bones, like your atoms are remembering a version of events that didn't win. And then, quietly, do you still dream of the bell? You blink. You haven't thought of that dream in years. A silver bell that rings without sound. You used to follow it through fields that never ended. Yes, you whisper, but only when I'm about to forget something important. They close the journal gently. I hear it when something returns. It's quiet between you, not awkward. Sacred. Time here feels like water held in cupped hands, no longer moving, forward, just resting, waiting to be chosen. The room smells of old ink and new breath. They lean back. You know we're not meant to meet. That memory wasn't designed to overlap. Then why do we share it? Because some memories, they say, don't belong to a single self. They live between branches you don't fully understand. But you feel it again, the hum beneath the floor. The way the journal pages tremble, as if the paper itself remembers being part of a tree. As if even the past can't decide which shape to hold. You ask, softly, which one of us is the original? They don't answer. Not because they don't know, but because maybe that's not the right question. Instead, they ask, what do you remember that you've never lived? It's then you realize there are memories in you like echoes from a hallway you've never walked down. The smell of snow on a train you never boarded. A goodbye on a bridge with no name. A small scar on your hand that has no story. The journal opens again, but this time it's blank, as if the pages are waiting for both of you to decide. You write. The first line, today. I remembered something I never did. They write the next, and it felt more real than the things I know. You look up. They're fading, not vanishing, not dying, but shifting, as if time is folding again. As if they're returning to their own branch. Taking the memories you didn't make and leaving behind the ones you might still choose. The room begins to dissolve into soft light, like fog remembering how to be in the sky. You rise, the journal still in your hand. Its pages are heavier now, fuller, some of yours, some not. All of them are true in the way dreams are true, emotionally accurate, if not historically precise. The door ahead is still open, but this time it leads somewhere else. You step through, and the world bends gently to make space, and behind you, a bell that doesn't ring begins to echo anyway. The echo folds backward, not through air, but through memory, a sound that hasn't happened yet, unraveling through the marrow of your thoughts. You turn toward it, but the sky tilts, and something strange pulls you the other way. Not gravity, not choice, but reversal. The path behind you peels itself upward like rolled film. Footprints fill themselves in. The wind rewinds. There's a hill you haven't climbed yet, though your legs ache from the descent. The sun unsets a quiet golden bloom lifting from the horizon. Light retracts, threading back into the clouds like breath held in reverse. You watch the sky uncolor itself. Every hue siphons inward until the stars you never saw blink back into hiding dot at your feet. A cup rises from the dirt, ceramic, chipped, familiar. It spins gently, fragments knitting mid-air, as if regret can be undone with grace. The handle finds itself. A crack closes like a held apology. When it's whole again, it hovers for a moment, unsure, then settles perfectly. In your waiting hand, you didn't reach for it, but maybe you would have. Around you, the world doesn't rewind, rivers curve backward, not in fury, but in calm reconsideration. Leaves float upward onto branches that rebraid themselves. A child you passed earlier now skips toward infancy, her laugh shrinking into a hum. Everything is returning to it before, but not like a recording played backward, more like memory, remembering differently. You feel it in your chest, the way your breath exhales first, then inhales. A blink becomes unblinking. Words spoken to no one retreat back into silence. There's no alarm, only a deep strangeness, like being underwater in time. And when you begin to walk again, you realize the dust on your boots is vanishing with each step. You follow a road that unrolls behind you, paving itself smooth where cracks once were. The trees beside it uncurl their seasons, golden to green, blossom to bud, and then a stillness like unknowing. A crow lifts from a branch and flies backward into a sky where its wings have not yet flapped. There's a house on the hill that builds itself as you approach, walls reforming, glass unshattering, curtains rethreading across open windows. The door is closed now, though it wasn't. You knock, or maybe you haven't yet. The sound happens anyway, folding into the wood inside. The air smells like before, like dust that never settled, like bread not yet baked. You remember this place, or will. The furniture arranges itself backward, chairs tuck in, candles regrow their wicks. A photo re-enters its frame, the smile returning to the woman inside it. She hasn't met you yet, or maybe she never did. A table waits in the center of the room. On it, the cup, the same one, arrives gently in your hands again, as though the moment is reliving you. It's still warm from tea that's never been poured. You don't drink. Instead, you listen to the quiet where silence isn't. Absence but reverse intention. In the mirror on the wall, your reflection doesn't follow. It precedes. You lift your hand, and it moves before you, not like a delay, like foresight. You realize this world isn't running backward, it's uncoosing entropy, reassembling order from what was broken, not to undo it, but to consider what it could have been. It feels like forgiveness in motion. The floor beneath you tightens, a creak becoming a still plank. Even the dust motes in the air unscatter. There's no rush, no panic, just a steady return to not yet. Outside, the wind unspools a tree that once fell uprights itself, its roots, rethreading into soil that's reshaping around the memory of its loss. You see the world as it becomes again, not repeating, but reweaving. Each cause finds its effect in reverse. But that doesn't mean the meaning is lost. Only remapped. And then, in the garden behind the house, you see it, a pond where the ripples converge inward, as though the stone hasn't yet dropped. The reflection in the water shows you, but younger, not in age, but in possibility, unfixed, unfractured. You watch yourself turn, already knowing you'll come here, already leaving again. but not yet. There's a sound, not the bell this time, but something smaller, subtler. The soft ring of a spoon returning to a saucer. It hasn't happened, but you remember it anyway. The woman from the photo steps into the room. Or maybe she steps out of memory. She doesn't speak, but the space around her folds like pages being unflipped. Her gaze lingers at the cup in your hands. It's not about breaking, she would have said. It's about whether the pieces remember how to belong. You want to ask her if time always heals, or if healing is just a version we choose. But you don't speak. You already didn't. The room begins to dissolve, not in ruin, but in revision. You step backward through the door you never opened. Outside, the sky is almost dark again, but the stars are descending instead of rising. Everything is softening, like breath returning to lungs it hasn't yet left. The world folds inward like a closing flower, and somewhere beneath your ribs, a memory unbreaks. And ahead of you now, a staircase begins to rise, step by step, toward a place that hasn't happened yet, but somehow already remembers you. The staircase is made of moments, not stone. Each step, a memory that hasn't happened yet, flickering like reflections in water. When you place your foot on the first one, it holds. The second hums beneath you like a held breath. The third feels like a choice you haven't made but already regret. And the fourth begins to split. The stairs don't ascend in a single line. They spiral, then branch, then braid into each other like strands of something organic. With each step, you feel your thoughts dividing gently, like cells in slow motion. You're still you, and yet, parts of you keep wandering in directions your body hasn't followed. Somewhere, off to the left, you feel a version of yourself turning back. Somewhere to the right, another version runs. The path narrows until it isn't a staircase at all, but a root. Then a root becomes a trunk, and the trunk breathes. Before you now is a tree older than the world, or younger than your next thought, and every one of its leaves is a version of you. Some shimmer with laughter, some hang low, heavy with things unsaid, and some are still growing, half-born, as if the choices they depend on haven't quite decided what they are. You step closer, and the branches lean toward you. They don't rustle like ordinary leaves. They murmur, not in words, in possibilities. The air tastes like hesitation and something softer than wind, potential. Maybe you reach for one, and, as your fingers brush it, the leaf trembles, and then blooms. Instantly, it unfurls into a full branch, splitting off in a direction you did not expect. On it, a path, a field, a version of your own voice laughing in a way you haven't laughed in years. You can almost remember it. Or maybe you're just imagining remembering it. The tree doesn't judge. It just continues. Behind you, the stairs have vanished. Or maybe they split too, trailing into other forests, other trees, other yous who never reached this one. You wonder what it means to keep going when you might already have gone. You walk along a path that didn't exist until the moment you chose to see it. The ground is soft and translucent, like pressed petals. Underneath, flickers of light, branching and retreating, like neurons firing in the earth itself. Each step you take creates more. You're not just walking the path, you're helping it grow. To your left, a branch veers off into a mirror world. You glimpse yourself through its shimmer, older, maybe, kinder. In that version, your hands carry something glowing, a memory, a regret. You don't know, you almost follow it. To your right, Another branch leads into silence, a version of you who stopped speaking after a certain day. The silence there isn't cruel. It's full, humming with unsaid thoughts and wordless truths that you almost follow too. But the path beneath your feet grows thicker now, braided with more strands of decision. It rises toward a clearing, and the tree thickens, widening into a vast trunk with hollows inside it, shaped like doorways that never fully close. Inside the first hollow, a hallway made of books that write themselves. Each line you read disappears. Behind you, written once, then gone, like memory after waking. In the second hollow, a dark pond, you look into it and see every version of you who hesitated. They are not drowning, just waiting. In the third, a child, they're sitting with their back to you, sketching branching lines into the dirt. When you step close, they vanish, but the lines remain. Something in the tree begins to pulse. It isn't light exactly, it's time. Not the kind you measure with clocks, the kind that braids through your ribcage when you realize a moment matters. That kind of time is alive. Here, above you, the canopy ripples with timelines so delicate they resemble thoughts, translucent threads floating mid-air, stretching into places you've never seen. Some of them intersect, others pass through each other like ghosts, and a few curled back, returning to places they've already been, looping like memories that refuse to fade. You reach the base of the main trunk. It leans just slightly, not in age, but an invitation. And there, at its base, grows something quiet, a coin, not lying flat, not flipping, just standing, impossibly, on its edge. You do not touch it. Somehow you know it's not meant to land. Not yet. Above it, the bark splits gently, revealing something like a pulse to beats, not one. A branching rhythm, not a fork. A song that splits in harmony. And inside it, you see yourself, not once, but many times over, standing in different forests, under different skies, each version unaware of the others, but connected by this shared root. You breathe, the tree breathes, and slowly the entire forest breathes back. A soft shimmer spreads outward, not light, not sound, but something like coherence. A moment that almost becomes a choice. Or maybe a choice that refuses to collapse. You wonder, are you choosing your path? Or are you the echo of a choice made somewhere else, by someone also called you? And then something above shifts. The branches begin to reach inward, converging toward a single bloom at the heart of the canopy. A flower that pulses in many rhythms at once. The moment you look at it, you feel everything branch again. Not out, but through. Time isn't a line, it's a seed that never stops unfolding. And just beyond that flower, a glimmer, a ripple in the air. Not quite a door, not quite a window, but maybe a gate that only opens when you're more than one. And somewhere past that glimmer, something begins to shimmer like memory, trying to become real again. It flickers, not with light, but with timing. A shimmer just ahead that refuses to hold. Still, you step closer, and it steps back. But the sound of your footfall echoes before your heel touches the ground. You feel it. Something here is out of order. Not broken, just ... rearranged. The shimmer grows into a narrow path, paved with silver dust that trembles with every movement. To your left, a forest of spiraling glass trees, their branches shifting subtly in slow motion. To your right, the same forest, but every motion is sped up, like time gulping instead of sipping. Between the two, you, You glance behind and see yourself still there, one step ago. Ahead, a version of you has already reached the next bend. For a moment, you're watching your own arrival and your own departure, coexisting like twin shadows, cast by different suns. The path curves upward like a question mark folded in on itself. Above, the sky divides not by color but by tempo. One half pulses with languid, syrupy clouds, while the other flashes with the frenetic shimmer of winds you can't feel. Both skies belong here, but they're never in sync. You reach a clearing, where two clocks hang in the air, not by wires or frames, but by tension alone. One ticks slowly, each tock a yawn. The other stutters with urgency, hands darting forward in bursts. They face each other like siblings in disagreement. When one moves, the other flinches. You stand between them, and for a moment you feel both. Speeds inside you. Your breath shortens. Your heartbeat stretches. You're both early and late, arriving while already gone in this place. Cause and effect don't sit in a straight line. They loop around one another, arguing gently like an old couple dancing out of rhythm. A bird lifts into flight before the tree branch bends. A tear glistens on your cheek before the ache arrives. You look down and notice your footprints stretching in opposite directions. The left foot moves faster, always a step ahead. The right lags, slow and deliberate, still clinging to the last. Moment you try to walk normally, but the pull between them grows stronger, not painful, just strange, like remembering two different dreams at once. A child appears nearby, chasing their own echo. Every time they laugh, the sound circles back and arrives before their mouth opens. They giggle with delight, unaware of the mismatch, or maybe perfectly aware and just better at playing along. The landscape around you begins to fragment, not into pieces, but into tempos. A field of golden grass sways in different directions, some stalks frozen mid-sway, others already bent from winds that haven't come yet, and among them figures appear and vanish. Not ghosts, just people caught in slightly different frames of when. You try speaking, and your voice splits, part of it drifting into the past, the other part rushing ahead. The result is a sentence that makes no sense now, but might later, or earlier. You begin to understand that here now is only a guess. A humming rises, not loud, but all-encompassing. It comes from a structure ahead, a tall column of mirror-like metal, spiraling upward like a frozen tornado. Embedded in it are hundreds of clocks, each ticking to its own rhythm. Some are digital, others antique. Some melt into the metal as you watch, their time dissolving into shine. You step closer and see your reflection in one of the clocks, but your face is younger. In another, you're older. In one, your eyes are closed. You realize none of them are wrong, just ... offset, as if you exist across all of them, like a chord stretched through different notes. The base of the column pulses gently. It seems to be listening to you, or remembering you. Or maybe you're remembering it from a moment that hasn't happened yet. You touch the surface, and time ripples around your fingers like water. A low chime begins to resonate from the core. One by one, the clocks align. Not perfectly, but enough to echo each other. A chorus of almost you feel your own body shift with them. Not in shape, but in sequence. You are now moving with two pulses, one inside you and one just ahead of you, like two versions of your heart, learning how to take turns. You don't know which one is truly you, but maybe that's the point. The air thickens, not with weight, but with meaning. Somewhere nearby, a bell rings once, but the sound travels out in both directions. One half of the sound goes forward, the other back. You hear it arrive before it leaves. You feel it leave before it arrives. You close your eyes, and for a heartbeat, you exist in both places, the cause and the effect, the before and the after. And it's not confusing, it's beautiful. When you open your eyes, the shimmer you followed here is gone, but the twin clocks remain ticking just slightly out of sync. You know now they always will. And maybe so. Will you? You step forward again. Only this time, you're not sure if it's the first step or the last. But either way, the path accepts you. And just ahead, the silence begins to bend. At first it bends like heat above pavement, a shimmer, a hush that curls sideways through the air. You pause without meaning to. Something is folding inward without motion, and the quiet isn't just absent now, it's shaped, hollowed, waiting. You step toward it, and the world shifts like you've brushed against an invisible current. The silence doesn't break. It listens. Not passively, but actively, as though it already knows what you haven't said yet. As though it's holding a response, still cooling in its own delay. There's a veil ahead. Not fabric, not glass, more like thickened air lit from within, by a low, dim shimmer. The way mist might glow if it remembered lightning, and pulsing faintly in the center of it, a signal, soft amber, breathing with no rhythm you recognize. You don't remember sending anything, but something's returning. You lift your hand toward the shimmer, and as you do, the glow pulses faster, but only after your hand has already moved back again. The echo is wrong. It's not delayed in time, it's misplaced. You realize the signal responds before you act. You think, I'll ask, and the answer is already there. A hum stirs beneath your feet, low and wide, like the planet is speaking through layers. Not speech, not language, just intention. As if another version of you, across some folded seam, sent out a thought, and now it's bouncing back, warped. You whisper, hello, and the signal flares gently, but again, it's not reacting. It's remembering. You haven't said it yet. Not here, not now. Around you, the landscape begins to adjust. Stone ridges soften into translucent ridgelines. The sky curls inward, folding like paper written on both sides. Every surface seems to ripple with meaning, but none of it is yours. Not yet, maybe not ever. This place, whatever it is, was built to carry messages, not just through space, but across the seams where realities touch and forget, where time wrinkles instead of stretches, where cause and effect sometimes fall out of order, like pages scattered from different books. You walk forward through the veil the moment you pass. Through it, you're no longer sure if you're ahead of yourself or behind. The ground is smooth, reflective, but it doesn't reflect you. It reflects what you'll do next, and sometimes what you once did. You raise your left hand, your right hand lifts in the mirror. There are no echoes here, only feedback from adjacent selves, possibilities brushing close enough to leave static in your skin. Up ahead, a tower glows in the haze, made of coiled metal and light, like a tuning fork for universes. It sings with silence, but something inside it is beating. You approach slowly, and the signal rises to meet you. On a pedestal at its base, a device hums, sleek, dark, barely real. It looks like a receiver, but the message it's replaying is from you. Not the you who stands here now, but the version who left something behind in another layer. You recognize your own breath, but not the words. They arrive out of order. I didn't know it would echo like this. How many layers between meaning and memory? Tell them I waited, even if I arrived first. Your voice plays through a loop that doesn't begin or end. You don't remember saying any of it, but somewhere, maybe across a thinner part of the brain, you did, or will, or meant to. The device pulses, as if inviting a response, not a recording, a resonance, a conversation between mismatched timelines, one where the question echoes backward, and the answer writes itself before it's heard. You reach toward it, and a ring of soft light spills outward, as if you've pressed a thought into the skin of reality. Not a signal, but an intent, wordless, slow, shaped by feeling more than fact. And then, across the tower's surface, the return begins. The message isn't in words this time. It's a sequence of shapes, one unfolding into the next, like hands. Opening, the geometry feels familiar. A memory not yours, yet buried in you. As if somewhere, a different version of you sent something gentle into the void, a question or a hope. One symbol lingers longer than the others, a spiral turning inward, then suddenly blooming outward, like the past folding into the future. And then forgetting which was which, the device pulses again. It's waiting for you to reply, but you already did. Or maybe you haven't yet. Your thoughts stutter under the weight of this logic. In this place, time doesn't chain, it loops, crosses, undoes. The universe you're standing in, or the one brushing beside this, doesn't care which came first. It listens in circles. It speaks in delays that arrive before they're sent. You kneel by the device, not to understand, but to feel it closer. Its hum is the same hum from earlier, the one that moved under your feet, the one that knew what you hadn't asked yet. It's not a machine. It's a memory turned outward, and slowly your own reflection flickers across the tower, only. It's not quite your face, it's yours, but a few moments ahead. Watching, waiting, not warning, just witnessing. You look peaceful, curious, just like you are now. Just like you were before you sent the signal that hasn't reached you yet. The veil behind you pulses again. Another echo returning. A second signal. You don't move, you just listen. And far above, behind some hidden seam of sky, another version of you begins to reach toward this exact moment. The tower flickers. The spiral pulses. And somewhere ahead, the answer is already learning how to ask. The ground beneath your feet shifts, not with movement, but with memory, as if the soil remembers weight differently than it did before. Each step presses deeper, pulls harder, like something beneath the surface has begun to notice you. The trees ahead are bent not by wind, but by a gravity that doesn't belong to this world. All their branches reach toward a center you can't see, as though pulled by a whisper from another place. You pause beneath one of them, its bark shimmering faintly in the dusk. The leaves don't rustle, they simply lean, not toward the sun, but toward a direction that doesn't exist on any compass, you know. And when you try to orient yourself forward, backward, skyward, even the air seems tilted. It's not dizziness. It's displacement, like the world is slightly overlapping with something else. And you're standing in the part where they don't quite agree. Your fingers graze the stone tucked in your coat, a small one, smooth and grey, light as a feather. It had been floating this morning, refusing to obey. Now it's heavier, not just in your hand, in your thoughts. as if it's beginning to belong to somewhere else entirely. You keep walking, but the path begins to stretch. Each footstep feels longer than the last, as though you're being drawn toward a different version of the ground. The pebbles don't scatter like they used to. They sink. You glance back, but your footprint seems shallower behind you, like your weight is only increasing the farther forward you go. Up ahead, a stream moves uphill, calmly. Without urgency, its surface glassy, its flow backwards. The water doesn't ripple, it climbs. Around it, moss clings to rocks that hang just above the soil, suspended as if gravity is choosing favorites. Some things it pulls, others it ignores, and you're not sure which you are anymore. Something tugs at your shoulder, a softness. At first, then firmer. Not a hand, not a wind, just a pull, diagonal and strange, like an unseen tide brushing past your skin. You step forward, but your body shifts slightly to the right. The world no longer holds you evenly. This isn't just a broken compass. It's a broken center. Or perhaps not broken, just divided. A gravity not native to this world is seeping in, like a breath held in another universe is finally exhaling into yours. You remember the stone. You let it go. For a moment, it floats, trembling in the air like it can't decide which world it belongs to. Then it falls, not straight down, but through the ground, through the rules, through something deeper than space. It doesn't bounce. It disappears. There is a wordless hush. Then the forest shifts. Trees bend more severely now, as if agreeing with the loss. Even the sky, once stable and vast, has acquired a subtle curvature. The clouds are heavier near the edges, like something is pressing against the sky from the outside, a thumbprint distorting the dome. You feel it in your spine, the presence of another nearby world, not parallel like a mirror, but layered like a breath pressing gently through skin. The path leads toward a valley where everything dips, toward a center you still can't see. Stones roll without being touched. A single bird floats mid-flight, caught in a moment of suspended fall. It doesn't flap. It simply descends in slow spirals, as if obeying a different rulebook. You descend into the valley. The deeper you go, the more your weight changes. Your arms hang heavier. Your thoughts do too. Not sad, just dense. As if the choices you've made elsewhere are starting to press back on you here at the valley's heart. You find the place. Not a structure, not a portal, just an indentation in the world. A shallow bowl in the earth where gravity folds. Light itself bends here. Your shadow curves toward the center even as your body does not. You kneel and place your palm on the soil, and you feel it, the pull from beyond. A rope of force that doesn't belong to this brain, this reality sheet. You walk upon. Something deeper is trying to pull its way through. Not violently, not to conquer, just to connect. You lie down, letting your back press into the slope, and the sensation intensifies. It feels like falling without motion, like remembering something you never lived, a life almost yours, a world almost here. You see it in glimpses, the sky not blue, but violet, trees crystalline, a city floating above itself, tethered by long, invisible threads of weight and will. You see someone who might be you, standing at a window that curves in all directions, holding a stone that hasn't fallen yet. The vision blinks. Your world returns. Soft and sloping, you rise slowly, lighter this time, as if something shifted in your own center of gravity, not where you stand, but where you're pulled from. The forest is quieter now, balanced, almost, as though it accepted the brief intrusion, then let it go. You glance at the ground where the stone vanished. In its place, a hollow has formed, not a hole, but a soft depression. You crouch and touch it, expecting soil, but it's warm and faintly humming. It begins as a tremble in your hand, not from cold, not from fear, but from recognition. The ground beneath you is no longer just surface. It exhales in slow spirals, as if it's been holding its breath for eons, and has only now remembered how to let go. You kneel, drawn not by thought, but by something older than thought. And there, half buried in velvet dust, is the rock, not jagged, not sharp, smooth, as if thumbed by time itself. You lift it. It's heavier than it should be, but not because of weight. It holds a kind of silence that isn't empty. You feel it before you see it. A spiral etched deep into the stone's core, not scratched, not carved, but grown, coiled like a memory that refused to fade. Around you, the underground world stirs. This place doesn't glow like caves in stories. It glows like sleep, softly, from within. Minerals shimmer like paused sunsets. Fossils stretch across walls like music left behind by creatures that once breathed in rhythms you'll never hear. And still, in your hand, the spiral watches you. You run your thumb over the fossil, a swirl that seems to loop in and in without ever ending. It isn't just a shape, it's motion, stopped mid-thought. You can almost feel the moment it froze, as if something once moved here, not just a creature, but time itself, and then chose to stay, chose to hide. Beneath your feet, the floor shifts slightly, not with danger, but with layers. You can feel them now, strata under strata, not just rock, but stories compressed, silent centuries stacked like folded pages in a book no one finished writing. And each layer remembers, not in words, in arrangement, in density, in the tilt of a buried crystal, in the angle of a bone. You hold the rock closer to your ear. Why, you don't know. But for a moment, you think you hear something, not sound, not exactly, more like rhythm, a pressure, a pulse. And you understand, time doesn't just pass through matter, it sinks into it. The walls around you begin to ripple, not visibly, but emotionally, the way air ripples before a thunderstorm, or how a memory stirs without being named. You move deeper into the cave, your steps echoing with the hush of something watching, but not in the way you feared. This place is old, but not dead. It doesn't want you gone. It wants you to listen. Stalactites dangle like frozen answers, dripping time slowly back into the world. Pools reflect not just your face, but older versions of you, not as you were, but as you felt. One is tired, one is curious, one is still waiting to become real. You stop before a ridge of stone shaped like a wave, mid-crash, embedded in its curve is another fossil, larger than the one in your hand, but made of the same swirling motion. You touch it. Instantly, your mind swims. It's not a vision. It's a pressure against the shape of your thoughts. A compression. You feel heat, ancient seas, the crush of tectonic breath. You feel atoms rearranging, cooling, layering, not as events, but as presence. Every grain of matter remembers how it arrived. And somehow, inside you, part of you remembers too. The spiral in your palm pulses again. No light, no sound, just a gentle thrum against your bones. You don't know if you're holding time, or if time is holding you. You sit, you listen. Not with ears, with the part of you that dreams in symbols. The cave, the fossils, the swirl, it all begins to hum in a slow, circular way. You realize time is not just forward, not just now. It's embedded, entrenched, imprinted like warmth. In cooling stone, somewhere nearby a drip falls. Then another, but the echoes don't fade linearly. They fold, they layer, they return differently. It's not decay, it's memory taking root. You place the stone spiral beside you on the ground. It does not stop humming. The hum was never about motion, it was about resonance. It was telling you how long it's been here, and perhaps who it used to be, because what is a fossil if not something that loved movement so much it became still in its shape? You glance back at the walls, fossils of leaves, of shells, of limbs curved like commas. They are not relics, they are verbs that never left. You lean back, spine against the stone, and for the first time in this chapter of the world, you feel the earth, not as beneath you, but as before you. You are not walking forward through time. You are falling downward into it, layer by layer, thought by cooled thought, and somewhere ahead, the spiral is still spinning, not out there, but in the place matter keeps its breath, and you begin to wonder what parts of yourself have been buried in layers you haven't reached yet. What if every version of you leaves a trace, not in the future, but in the density of now? The stone spiral starts to glow faintly, not with light, with memory, as if recognizing something in your touch that matches its own story. And for a moment, everything stills. The earth stops turning, the breath of stone holds, and you feel what it's like to be remembered by something ancient, not for who you are, but for how you moved, and far beneath, deeper than any map would bother naming, a path begins to tilt, not forward, but inward. The path does not feel like stone, or dust, or memory. It feels like hesitation, soft and tilting, like it's unsure whether to carry you deeper or reflect you back. But you step anyway, and the world lets you. There's a hush here, not of silence, but of indecision. The walls around you are made of something reflective, but not quite mirrors. They shimmer in waves, sometimes glassy, sometimes fogged, sometimes splitting with seams of age. You see, movement yours, but it doesn't match your pace. One version of you lags behind, another races ahead. One stands perfectly still. The path winds inward like thought folding in on itself. The air smells like something paused, like breath held in the middle of a sentence. As you move, the reflections beside you move too, but they change. One shows your face younger, eyes wide, not yet weighted. Another shows creases you haven't earned yet, softness deepening into stillness. None of them blink when you do. You pass a mirror split diagonally. Your reflection flickers, young on one side, aged on the other. You raise a hand, only one version follows. The rest simply wait. You try not to look too long. Something in you knows these are not just visions, they are timings, versions, slivers of when, and you are standing where all their edges touch. The hallway contracts, not tighter but denser, the way thoughts gather when memory spirals. The mirrored surfaces start to fragment, some drifting upward like leaves in slow water, others sliding. Beneath your feet, they hum as they pass, vibrating with a frequency that isn't sound but age. You touch one pane. It's warm, not from heat, but from time. It holds the version of you who stayed, the one who didn't leave that day, didn't say that thing, didn't break away. Their eyes are tired in a different way. They've carried something long past its season. Another shard passes, cool and flickering fast. This one shows a version of you running, not from fear, from urgency. They move like someone who already knows what the next turn costs. You wonder if they ever stop, and then the hallway opens, not into a room, but into something harder to name. A spherical chamber floating with fractured glass. Each piece spins. Slowly, hovering. They tilt toward you like they're trying to choose your face. Your now dot in the center floats a larger mirror. No frame, no edge. Just the surface, rippling gently like a liquid breath. You step toward it. It does not reflect the room. It reflects only you, but not quite. It shows you older, or maybe not older. Just later, a line drawn slightly further across the same page. The eyes look familiar, but quieter. The mouth is curved, not in a smile or frown, but something like understanding. You don't reach for it, because the moment you think you will, the surface blinks and changes. Now you are younger, laughing at something the memory can't quite hold. Sunlight falls across your shoulder, a kind of warmth you haven't felt in years. Then again, blink, another version, crying softly in a place that never had a name. A mirror with no walls, no judgment, just timing, dot. All at once, every shard around the chamber starts to glow faintly. Some golden, others blue, some edged in soft red. Each pulse is like a breath, a heartbeat measured not in seconds, but in relativities, because time does not pass the same for all of you. Some versions slowed in grief, in waiting, in stillness. Others raced through risk, through wonder, through escape. Some lived in gravity wells so deep they barely aged at all. And you, the one standing here, you are just the point where they all meet. The large central mirror begins to turn slowly. Its face is now faceted, holding layers of your face like petals unfolding. You feel something stir in your chest, not fear, not even awe, recognition that all of them are you. That time didn't choose one path. It branched, it hesitated, it let go. Somewhere behind you, a mirror cracks, not with violence, with release, a long, soft line down its middle. You don't turn. Instead, you look at the version of you who is holding a book you've never read, who has a scar where you do not, who is humming a lullaby you've never learned. Their eyes meet yours, not across space, across duration, a lifetime offset by a different clock. The chamber begins to dim, not into darkness, but into velvet. The mirrors fade into starlight, each one blinking out like a thought that no longer needs repeating. Only the central mirror remains, now still, now smooth. You step toward it, and this time it does not reflect you at all. Instead, it shows a staircase, not made of stone or mirror or dream, but of time. Soft steps woven from moments, from every version of you who ever waited, or wondered, or walked forward anyway. And at the top or the bottom, a door barely open. You exhale, and in the breath, you feel it, the weight of all your clocks, and somewhere ahead, the reflection starts to breathe. It exhales once, fogging the air, not your breath, but its own. Your reflection, once frozen in that mirror-like silence, now shifts a fraction out of sync. A blink too late, a tilt too soon, like you're watching yourself through water that doesn't know which moment to keep. Something has slipped or begun. You step forward, but the ground beneath each footfall responds in different tempos. The left echo comes slow and stretching, the right impossibly quick. Time is no longer one song, but two overlapping scores, drifting out of harmony. The trees here bow in opposite winds, one rustling leaves in moonlight, the other bright and sharp at noon. Above you, two skies, one lit with stars just waking, the other thick with summer's sun. The reflection moves again, not in tandem, not even in reversal. It moves somewhere else. You raise your hand, and its delay is not one of slowness, but of misalignment, as if your reflection belongs to a timeline adjacent to yours, no longer bound by mimicry. The water between you begins to tick. Soft, rhythmic ripples, forming circles like the breath of a patient machine. And then you see them, twin moons rise, neither from the east nor west, but from the top corners of the day and night skies. One golden, like a bell held in sunlight, the other pale and bluish, like a frostbitten pearl. They turn slowly, impossibly, not across the sky, but in place, orbiting nothing but the rhythm of each other. A twin metronome clicking out the time of this world. But which time? Yours, or the reflections? You walk toward the sound, the ticking. Your body struggles to choose a tempo. Your left arm feels buoyant, fast, like it belongs to a future version of you. Your right arm trails, slow and aching, as if it never left yesterday. Somewhere inside you, a strange ache forms, the ache of misaligned memory. Moments that were supposed to unfold together have pulled apart. Ahead, the path splits into two, not left or right, but before and after. On one, footsteps bloom in odd time. You watch them press into the soil just as your feet descend. On the other, the prints already exist, as if someone, maybe you, already walked it long ago, or will soon. Your reflection stands between the two paths, flickering like poor reception. When you look directly, it becomes whole. When you glance away, it begins to glitch. In one moment, it smiles before your mouth even moves. In another, it reaches for something behind you that hasn't arrived yet. The moons tick louder now, not sound. Exactly, more like the sensation of time clicking inside your bones. Tick, dash tick, dot dot dot, pause, dot dot tick. The gaps are uneven, the rhythms don't match. A warm breeze from the day sky brushes your face, but your shadow falls into the night, elongated, silver, confused. You whisper a name, maybe yours. The reflection hears it differently, mouthing something that doesn't match the sound. Maybe it's your name in a time that no longer fits. The forest parts into twin clearings. In one, birds fly in reverse spirals, lifting back into branches, songs reeling inward like tape rewinding. In the other, petals fall in fast forward, blooming and dying in a breath. And between them, the twin moons hover directly above your heart. Their pull is not gravitational, but temporal. They are not just keeping time, they are deciding it. You reach out your hand the moment your fingers enter the boundary between. The two worlds, the sensation splits. Heat on one fingertip, ice on the next. One side of your pulse runs ahead, the other lags behind, and still your body remains whole. Somewhere inside the trees, a voice calls. It stutters in two fast syllables, then lingers too long on a vowel. You can't tell if it's one speaker or two voices layered in time. You try to answer, but your words arrive before your lips move. Or after they've closed, you take the path where the moons seem most steady. Each tick from above aligns with your heartbeats, almost soothing until it doesn't. because halfway down the trail, the metronomes flip. The golden moon now moves faster, the blue one slows, and your body tries, helplessly, to keep pace. You remember something, but it's not from here. A birthday candle was blown out too early, a goodbye said twice, a photograph where someone looked away just as it clicked. Were those moments out of time too? Or is this the first place that lets you feel what was always slightly off? You stumble. The earth beneath you has warped into spirals, not physically, temporally. Your steps curve without your choosing. Sound arrives out of order. A leaf crunches before your foot touches it. The air smells of something you haven't reached yet. And then silence. A dome of stillness. The moons stop ticking. One moment they hover above. Next they're gone. No fade, no drift. Just ... absence. In that absence, you feel something. Inside you click back into place. Not fully, just enough. Like a tune finding its key again. The reflection appears beside you, not in water, not in glass, but as if walking with you now. You do not question how. You do not ask when and around the bend, the trail opens into a meadow with no sky at all, only mirrors, dozens, hundreds, each tilted at strange angles. Some reflect day, some night, some reflect moments you haven't lived yet. One of them shows you walking backward, returning to something you don't recognize. One of them shows the moons ticking again, but there. Inside your chest now, you step forward. Your reflection doesn't follow. Instead, it turns slowly and begins walking into a mirror, as if it finally chose its timeline, or was chosen. You do not know which of you remained, but the mirrors start to hum, and somewhere just beyond the nearest pane, time begins to fold. It doesn't fold like paper. It folds like breath, quietly, softly, as if something invisible is wrapping itself around the moment and tucking it away. You reach toward the pane, but the glass is no longer solid. It ripples like memory, and when you press through it, you don't feel movement, only a strange stillness, as if the universe is holding its breath with you. The air is thinner here. You can feel it tug at the edges of your skin, like it's not used to bodies. All around the world is lightless, but not dark. It glows with the dim afterimage of something that has already happened. Trees shimmer with outlines they no longer occupy. Stones hum with the faint echo of footsteps that aren't yours, but could be. It feels like a place remembering someone who just left. You move through it carefully, but the ground beneath your feet doesn't quite believe in your presence. It accepts your weight, but gently, like it's not sure you belong. Still, when you take a step, something curious happens. The ground glows, not where you are, but where you were. A footprint, soft and silvery, pulses behind you, refusing to vanish. You kneel to touch it, and the print responds, faintly warm. It remembers you. Or maybe it remembers a version of you that passed through once before. You glance back and see every step you've taken in this world still glowing behind you, not fading, not erasing, as if this dimension doesn't let go of those who enter above. The sky is stitched with threads of other places, glowing seams where one reality brushes against the next. The fabric of existence feels thinner here, more permeable, and something or someone seems to be watching from the other side. Not with eyes, with awareness. You're being followed, but not in the way that frightens. It feels like a question walking behind you. Ahead, a doorway flickers in and out. It's not fixed in space, it swims, like a thought trying to decide whether it should be remembered. You move toward it anyway, and as you draw closer, it solidifies just enough. The moment you pass through, you know you've left something behind, but also that part of you came with it. Even if you didn't mean to, the world on the other side is quieter still. It's a garden, but everything is translucent. Glass blossoms. Mist leaves roots that hum underfoot like tuning forks. Here, echoes move slower than sound. You speak a single word, and its ghost arrives seconds later, brushing against your skin like a breeze from another time. You are not alone. Not quite. A figure stands just ahead, though it doesn't cast a shadow, at least not here. But as you watch, you realize something stranger. It casts a memory, not yours, its own. Around its feet are dozens of glowing footprints, but they don't match the ones you made. These are older, dimmer, from another visit, from another you. You step closer, and it tilts its head. Its face flickers between yours and something unfamiliar, like it's made of options. When it speaks, the voice is soft, layered with others, as if spoken through overlapping dimensions. You don't always leave when you think you do. The words linger longer than they should. You feel them settle into your chest, not as knowledge, but as sensation. The figure doesn't move again. It just continues to exist, barely like a bookmark in a world that's waiting for your next chapter. You walk past it and feel its memory brush against your back. Everywhere you go, the universe seems to retain a trace. A shimmer where your fingertips touched a wall. A ripple in the air where your breath paused. A mirror reflecting not you, but the moment just before you entered. It's as though these dimensions aren't entirely separate, but layered like film stills, each preserving a version of what passed through them. You begin to realize it's not just you traveling through these worlds. It's your choices, your almosts, your might have beens, and each world remembers differently. Some remember your scent, others remember the questions you never asked. One remembers your silence so precisely it echoes in reverse. In a clearing, you find a pool of water that reflects only futures. You lean over it, expecting your face. But instead, you see yourself walking away, not from here, but from some other version of here. You see a hand you never raised, a word you never spoke, and yet the world recorded them anyway, as if imagination has mass here. You begin to understand the science now, not with equations, but with presence. What looks like memory is something else entirely, a kind of quantum persistence, the trace of something that might still happen. A footprint made, not by pressure, but by probability. You start to wonder how many worlds are holding fragments of you. How many still remember the warmth of your passing, even after you forgot you were ever there? The thought isn't heavy, it's tender. You are not alone in forgetting. The universe remembers what you don't. It keeps a soft archive of all the selves you once could have been, not as judgment, not as a regret, just as light dot as you walk. The ground grows more real beneath you. Your steps stop glowing, not because the world has forgotten, but because it no longer needs the light to remember. You've begun to exist here fully, even if only for a moment. At the edge of this place, the air bends, not with heat, but with intention. A doorway begins to unfurl, woven from strands of time you haven't lived yet. But something follows you still. Not a shadow, not quite. A presence that lingers just behind, stepping where you step, breathing when you breathe. You don't turn around. You don't need to. Whatever it is, it remembers you. And maybe in a way you'll never quite understand. You remember it too.